Major funding for these broadcasts is made possible by grants from Capital One Bank, New York Community Bank, Eastern Consolidated, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, Customers Bank, Ariel Property Advisors, Dime Community Bank. Additional funding is made possible by grants from AM Trust Title, AVR Realty Company, Avison Young, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Commercial Mortgage, Citizens Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Colliers International NYC, Cohen Equities, Collins Building Services, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Real Estate Organization, Handro Properties, Hodges Ward Elliott Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Meringoff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Organization, Moynihan Capital Partners, and these friends.
It's called Yonkers. It's the fourth largest city in the state. There's a lot of things going on there. There's major development. All of a sudden, people want to run to Yonkers. Part of it's due to the good government, part of it's due to the planning, and part of it's due to developers saying it's a transit-oriented development and it's a great place to be. So today I've assembled, or really Wilson has assembled for me, 4 individuals who are very involved with developments taking place in Yonkers. My guests, they include Wilson Kimball, who is the Director of Planning and Development Commissioner for the City of Yonkers. Tim Jones, who's the CEO of the Robert Martin Companies. Avi Abadi, who is a principal at AMS Acquisitions. And last but not least, Anthony Volpe, Vice President at Mill Creek. So you have a company that you're headquartered in Texas. How did you decide to go to Yonkers all of a sudden? How did your company decide to go and build a 321-unit new residential development?
Well, we are headquartered in Dallas, but we do have regional offices throughout the country, and I work in our New Jersey, New York office, and we are actively looking for exciting opportunities to develop in cities and towns that have a good combination of a transit-oriented development where people can be close to transportation, their work environment, as well as a lot of local amenities. And we were introduced to Yonkers through a business contact we've done business with over the years. And when I first went to Yonkers, it just kind of immediately when you drove to the site, it just felt like it made sense. Our site is 3.7 acres on the Yonkers waterfront, 2 blocks away from the Metro North rail station and the downtown section of Yonkers they refer to as Getty Square. And there's a nice little retail corridor there. And there was some existing development that occurred, roughly a decade ago. So we felt like it was a somewhat proven market, but it had a lot of room for growth in the future. And so we decided, after a lot of due diligence, we decided to make an investment there, and we're really excited about it.
You just opened up the rental office. What's the difference in rent in Yonkers as compared to Manhattan, as compared to Jersey City?
It's quite a big difference. We're probably gonna average out somewhere around $36 a square foot annually in Yonkers, and we're probably gonna start leasing a little bit below that. compared to high-end product in Manhattan, which is probably closer to
$80 a foot.
Exactly, or in Jersey City where you're $50 to $60 a square foot. So it's quite a big discount, but it has a lot of the same amenities, the waterfront, the walkability, 25 minutes into Grand Central Station, and so that's why we believe in the growth as well.
Tim, you've been involved with Westchester for 30 years. The company has been in business since 1957. Why today Yonkers?
I think development is a lot about vision and political will, and I think that Yonkers right now has both, and has had both for several years. So you look at the natural attributes of Yonkers. Its proximity to New York is obvious. It's the first town outside of New York. It's got a big population. We're largely in commercial development, although we also do residential development. But today, the employment statistics are in the favor of the employees. To a large extent, employers now need to follow the employees. And Yonkers has 250,000 people, and so it's a good place for businesses to be located. I think the vision that resulted in the daylighting, for example, in downtown Yonkers has really started to ignite the residential development and new residential development. So you get kind of a more diversified population, and that's really been led by the current administration, which is not just had that vision, but then also been able to execute in a tough political climate. They have a lot of people to satisfy. So I think that that's why we've seen significant additional development in the park that we've owned for almost 30 years today.
Wilson, you've been with the city of Yonkers how many years?
6 years. I came in with Mayor Mike Spano.
You and the mayor have been very important, but what happened with the local community that they wanted to do development? Because you've been giving certain incentives on tax incentives and other things, and you compete. You compete with White Plains, you compete with New Rochelle, you can compete with the other cities over there. But today, Yonkers seems to be really excelling. I mean, it's Yonkers and New Rochelle as the two places who are pro-development. What happened?
How that happened? I think it started at the top. The mayor came in. Yonkers had a reputation for being difficult to deal with in the government itself. And I think the neighborhoods were frustrated because they were kept out of a process. So the mayor directed myself and a couple of other department heads to work together, leave your egos at the door, sit down from the beginning and bring in all the stakeholders, whether it's the neighborhood associations or your neighbors, and just get it done, make it happen. And so that's what happened up at the SWEP with Boyce Thompson that had been vacant for 40 years. We brought in the neighborhood associations. We saved the building and did an adaptive reuse. We brought in Robert Martin and Mark Callie. We worked together on that. And I think that's just the message. Like, you have to learn to work together, and you need to bring in people early and often. And sometimes you may not like what people have to say, but in the end, it makes a better product for everybody. And the mayor's been towing that line for the 6 years he's been there.
Would you say, all of you, that transit-oriented development is a key today to Yonkers, to the development, being near the train station, being near the water? Because when Collins built a number of years ago, it was there, but nothing happened. It was stymied over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things you have to do when you're going to really change an area is you have to be able to create a sense of place. And I think Collins, first of all, the riverfront, the Hudson riverfront is just a fantastic area from Yonkers all the way north. That's really people are taking advantage of right now. And Collins development was great, but it was kind of isolated. And it's hard to, and creating a sense of place is really important. Yonkers was kind of the beginning of Westchester County. There was actually a big mill right on the Sawmill River where they daylighted. And it's hard to me, it's just opening that area up just changed the whole place, opening the river up. Collins didn't have the advantage of that. That didn't exist when he was there. And I said, since that's happened, and now it's one of those situations where the more you have, the better it is. So the fact that you've got Collins, you've got Mill Creek, you've got RXR, you've got you're going to have several thousand units there, and people are going to be able to see each other and socialize and check out the river and check out the library and check out the restaurants.
So here is my question, Avi.
Sure.
You grew up in Brooklyn originally, then moved to Manhattan. You went to school in Washington Heights. Why Yonkers?
It's a good question. We like to focus on neighborhoods we think have tremendous growth potential, and that's definitely downtown Yonkers. We've seen it in Ridgewood, we've seen it in other areas of New York, and the commute time, which is very interesting, in Ridgewood is about 45 minutes or so to get to Midtown, and Yonkers is, as Anthony mentioned, 25 minutes, or under 30 minutes to Grand Central, to the heart of Manhattan. And with rents so much cheaper than Ridgewood, it can create such an increase where you have a beautiful waterfront.
See, but here's a question. I agree with you 100%, but the subway is $2.75. The train is what? I'm trying to look
It's
at
$15.50 round trip.
Yeah, it's
from-
more
Yeah, but our
expensive.
rent is a lot.
The
cheaper.
rent-
No. I agree with you. I'm just trying to say.
I think there's a certain amount of civility in Westchester. I lived in New York City for 20 years before I moved to Westchester, and I find the trip on the Metro North a lot more civil than perhaps a subway ride.
No, I agree, and I
You're
think
saving a lot more on rent.
right. You're saving a lot more,
And you're getting more space.
You're getting more space too, and that's a natural progression
Yes.
of
What's
people.
also, what does a commuter pass cost, the monthly pass?
I don't know.
120 or something like
Something
that.
like that.
Something like that.
$200.
It's almost $200.
It's actually not so much off from the Metro card, which has been increasing. So
right. No, but
definitely
I agree with
And
you.
your office will pay
and
for
what
it
you were
through
saying with-
MTA, FSA benefits too.
Now you said you've acquired one property, you're acquiring another one, and one of them that you said to me has retail downstairs, and you have the brewery over there and the Italian restaurant, the pizza place, which is doing well. And the second thing is you're doing some office. What are you planning to do with the office?
So we're in contract to buy the building next door, 86 Main Street. We already own 92. So 86 is retail and office above. It's mostly a vacant building. We plan to renovate the building. There are 3 floors in the building that are raw space, that haven't really been touched. And we plan to lease out the building and then refinance afterwards.
At one time, many years ago, you had major companies moving out to Westchester. They've downsized. They're smaller companies, but there have been some major leases, like you were saying with Montefiore and so on. What companies are moving in to the Yonkers community today?
Well, the office market in Yonkers today is not very large. So it's traditional office space, it's probably less than 500,000 square feet. So you don't have the history of big corporate relocations. The SWEP, which is about 800,000 feet, is technically a flex park, but there are a lot of office users in the single-story space. But it's like most of Westchester right now. There have been some corporate relocations recently, but the biggest demand is really medical, and throughout the county. And I would say, I saw some statistics, and I don't know if I'll have this exactly right, but I think, 20 years ago, one of the top 10 employers in Westchester County was medical, and today it's either 4 or 5 of the top 10 employers in Westchester County are
Right.
medical.
I mean, besides, in Westchester County, you have Memorial Sloan Kettering right now.
Right.
You have WestMed, which has always been large, but they're even getting larger. You have the ENT and Allergy Associates headquarters out there. So, there is business. And then the fact that many of the major New York City hospitals have gone into the Westchester market, specifically Yonkers and in White Plains, is a big situation. But in order for people to live there, you need retail. What's the city doing to enhance the retail environment?
So in the downtown, we're actually rebuilding all the streetscapes because we felt like that was unattractive. And so we're working on that. And there's the 87 corridor, which does very well in retail. So we don't actually have to do that much. Lowe's just opened earlier this year. Century 21 opened. Pretty much any retail that opens on the 87 corridor is successful in most cases.
Now, how
they're
far
most
is the 87 corridor to downtown Yonkers? The 87
10 to
corridor,
15
you
minutes.
have Ridge Hill, right,
Yeah.
on one side of the
Yes.
87. Then the other side
Stu
is
Leonard's
right.
is the other side, and then closer into downtown you have Cross County Mall, and cross-county shopping or something along those lines. So those are probably 10 to 15 minutes away.
Yonkers was the first place convenient with the Racino at the racetrack. How has that helped Yonkers in general? I mean, because
it's a huge employer in the city. It also gives a lot of its revenue towards education, which is important for our workers. And we're hoping that they have full gaming, because without full gaming, the state's potentially losing revenue. We're certainly losing revenue. And there's been a disincentive to build out that space until they can apply for full gaming. So they'd like to put a hotel there. They'd like to maybe even put a soccer arena or some other sporting gaming. But they just haven't had the incentive to build it out because it'll be part of their application for full gaming.
What about the hospitality, the hotel business in Westchester and specifically in Yonkers? You said, there could be a hotel near the racetrack,
Yeah.
but a different type of hotel. I think the Rytown Hilton was a major hotel for catering and events over the years. There were a couple of others.
So Tim has opened a hotel since we've been there.
The industry, the hotel industry is you don't see many full service hotels like the Rytown Hilton built these days. Most of the hotels that are built
Or limited service, right?
limited service or suite concept. The location of our project, the South Westchester Executive Park, is not. You don't have an obvious retail visibility, which most people would expect would be more necessary for hotel use. We had the first hotel was built in the park about 10 years ago and was highly successful. And not built in a really obvious retail location, it was buried within the park. And there was such a need for
Who's the flag?
For rooms, Hampton Inn. And there was such a need for rooms that it went right up to 90% occupancy. Residence Inn was then opened not too long after that in a kind of a more accessible location. Again, very high occupancy. And then we just worked with the hotel, a current hotel owner who we sold actually to the same guys who own the Residence Inn, to open a courtyard. And all of them are doing really, really well. I know Hyatt Place just opened over in Cross County.
And another Hampton Inn on Tuckahoe Road.
And Tuckahoe Road, right.
The Royal Regency just
Reisman's,
completely renovated itself.
And I think they're all doing very well. Now, in the county, the market's okay, but I think the Yonkers, it's not great. Along the 287 corridor, there are a number of hotels, and some do better than others. But it's not they're not all great. But in Yonkers, I think they're all doing really well.
Do you have any retail in York?
We do not. Our site is a little bit secluded, and so we didn't feel like retail would be overly successful there. But I think as more development comes in along the waterfront and you get a certain critical mass, then there'll be opportunities.
Now, do we have height restrictions on residential in Yonkers?
Yes.
What is the current height restriction?
Well, it depends on what zone you're in, and what the zoning is on the property. But in the downtown, I think we find that developers have their own height restrictions based on cost of construction, and I think these guys can talk to that better than I.
So what is?
Yeah, the site that we bought was actually previously zoned for, I think, 25 stories. And when we came in, we just looked at it a little bit differently because it's a different construction type, it's a different cost structure, as Wilson mentioned. And so to make the deal more palatable and financeable, we changed to a maximum of 6 stories, wood construction, high-end luxury rentals, and that really helped the financeability of the deal. And I think a lot of other developers, at least on the water, are doing similar things.
With regard to financeability, how are the banks today looking at the Yonkers and the Westchester market? I mean, you're out there, all of you, looking for financing on properties. How accessible is it, or has it been difficult?
Our partners were very excited about the opportunity in Yonkers, and I think that's pretty consistent. As the cycle goes on and more supply comes, people may start to pull back a little bit, but I don't think we're quite there in Yonkers because we're just going to be opening next year, and there's going to be a lot after
Avi?
us.
I think as the area continues, the banks will feel more comfortable. But even so, when we bought our building, it was mostly occupied. We got 75%
And what about the other one that you're buying now that you?
That one is more of a bridge loan.
Right,
Obviously, it's mostly
because
vacant.
you have vacant office
But
space.
our lender is very excited about the project.
Tim?
You know, we tend to use regional banks who we've used for a lot of years, and it depends on the product type. I think residential, multifamily residential is easy.
Is still the prime.
Rental, yeah, although there is some concern. Some of the banks, you know, they run into kind of internal limits on how much they want, and there's been a lot of that kind of financing. I think for sale housing is tougher. I mean, there's probably a really big unmet demand for empty nester for sale housing.
Okay, but here's an area which I believe in New York City there's a dire need for assisted living, okay? Prime assisted living. I look at Yonkers and certain parts of Westchester that you have the capability that parents don't want to go down to Florida. Are we seeing assisted living opening up in the Westchester Yonkers area?
Well, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'll say it. Okay, you'll hear it here first. But because we have this land, we actually have a very well-established assisted living facility that is very anxious to develop in our park, but we haven't broached that with Wilson yet because it's not zoned, and so whether or not the city, but there's a real need.
There's
an unquestionable need.
What's happening in New York City today? They're building 2 new assisted living facilities, one on 56th Street and Lexington, and one on 92nd Street and 2nd Avenue, and that doesn't even meet the core because the number of people who want to be with their families nearby. Mm-hmm. The Esplanade, which was on the west side, was recently taken over by Bristol, and they're going to build it into a luxury. So I think that's a big need. We were talking earlier on the show, you said one of the big areas, especially with Amazon and industrial with jet procurement, is the industrial market. What do you see?
The industrial market is just superheated. I mean, it's really, really hot. That's, I'd say, throughout the New York area. And part of that is the change. A lot of retailers have basically just moved into warehouses. And so there's the fulfillment demand but even beyond that, the other thing that's really, really pushed that in the New York area, and Lower Westchester really benefits from this, has been just the repurposing of industrial space within the city. Because a lot of Brooklyn and Queens has disappeared, and the Bronx is now disappearing. So we've seen rents increase, this is a rough number, probably 40% on industrial space in Westchester. And the space that's in Westchester it's very hard to build large floors, so it's hard to satisfy, a large fulfillment requirement. But the space that's there tends to be low ceiling height, smaller floors, difficult space to fill. If you build, 24 feet for most distribution users would be considered low ceiling, but that's to the sky in Westchester. If you have 24-foot space in Westchester, you have a line out the door for people who want to lease it at rents that we kind of can't imagine. So there's really, really strong demand.
What about repositioning? Like Avi's planning to do some repositioning on your building. How many people are doing, and I know Joe Cotter is doing repositioning on industrial sites. Is that taking place in Yonkers also?
Sure, the old Yonkers bowling alley is being repositioned for housing, and Nepperhan Valley, which is it's our industrial core. There's been a lot of pressure to the mayor to turn it into housing, but he's not buckling. For that very reason, we see all these companies, Oz moving, and Fast Linen and Lenoto, all moving out of New York City, one borough or another, because they can't afford the prices, or they're being, moved out to become housing or something. So we're pretty proud of our industrial core, and we're going to keep it.
Yeah. I was reading in one of the articles that I searched out, talking about there was somebody who was in the garment center, and they had to move out because, first of all, the property was being repositioned to residential or to higher end office, and they moved up to Yonkers over there because of the opportunity. Yeah,
that's Lenoto. It's high-end linen, bed linen. So they're one of the groups that we featured in our Generation Yonkers ad campaign. But we've also had IAC applications move their office from White Plains to the waterfront.
Speaking about Generation, it was Generation 26 or Generation I saw the website specifically.
Generation Yonkers.
Generation Yonkers. How'd that campaign do?
It's great. It's still ongoing. I think we're in our 4th year. We get a huge uptick in calls into my office directly when it plays on the radio, the ads, and the ads are also on the Metro North bus stations and on the commuter rails. So it's been a great driving force, not only to actually get businesses and people to look at Yonkers, but also to create a buzz. I think you may have seen some of the articles that we have a vibe and we have a buzz going on in Yonkers, and it's been really core to making that happen.
So here's my question to our millennial in the room, okay? How do you see the millennials? Do you see them going to Yonkers? I mean,
Sure. People are getting priced out of New York City. And the building that we own at 92 Main Street is a very unique building. It's probably the best located building in all of downtown Yonkers, right across the street from the Metro North. And we have 20-foot ceiling heights, 1,400 square foot loft apartments. So if you put that in New York and Manhattan, right now we're getting 2,400.
we can make
You're
that a
getting
we live. That could be 7
that's
rooms.
right.
It's a 7-room apartment.
Exactly. So as the market increases, we can add more bedrooms, hopefully.
Yes,
So,
we're working on that.
so the idea is really, we have a unique product for something that would rent for.
But my
500
question
times
is this.
more.
He lives in Jersey City, you live in Manhattan. Have we seen the people coming yet from Manhattan, the younger generation, to Yonkers? I mean,
I think so. We've had people move up. We've had a collaboration with FIT, Urban Studio and Bound. People from the FIT campus have moved up there for the housing stock and also for the affordability. We've been working with SUNY Purchase. We've had students and professors move over from there.
I mean, you can have Manhattanville College also. It's very close by to Yonkers.
And Sarah Lawrence
And
College.
Sarah
So we're working to both maintain sort of the involvement with college students and recent graduates, as well as the arts community. So that's the other big draw that we're really targeting in our downtown and across the city to bring in younger people, particularly from Brooklyn and Jersey City and Hoboken.
Are we going to see, there's now this new involvement with the Alamo Draft House and the other movie theaters. Is that taking place in Yonkers today?
Well, Alamo Draft House is on Central Park Avenue, so they're there already in Yonkers.
I pick.
Yeah, iFly and Pepe's Pizza and Century 21 just opened. But I think what we're finding is that the Gen Y campaign appeals, interestingly, not just to millennials, but also to empty nesters. And I think the developers can speak to that they're pitching their apartments to both groups because they have similar needs and wants. I mean,
Right, and people want to downsize when they're older and their kids moved out.
Absolutely.
and also TOD lends itself, as you were saying, to assisted living. There was an article in the Journal a while ago saying that people want to be able to have easy access to their doctors, especially as they get older and can't drive maybe. So having TOD allows them that luxury.
So I think in summation, my apples, which are over there, seem to be shiny about Yonkers, and I'm happy that Wilson was fine enough to assemble this group. I'd like to thank Wilson, Tim, Avi, Anthony, and I'll see you next week.